Warpugs, it looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man has been shoved inside of a Panzer. That's just a little bit awkward. I'm just saying. Guys, this is Blitzkrieg. This is from Mitsi Studios. I have never seen anything from Mitsi Studios before, and this kept on popping up on my feed over and over and over again. So I did not really know what to make of it. I'm not sure if this is a parody. I'm not sure if this is educational, but what I do know is we're about to find out. Guys, check all the links in the description below from Mitsi Studios. Check my links as well. We're going to jump right into this. Let's go.
Blitzkrieg, the tactical dream scenario of Germany's favorite villainous mustache enthusiast Adolf Hitler. You know, the guy who looked at World War I trench warfare and thought, how can we make the new war go faster and even more terrifying?
There was a British soldier who drew down on him. I mean, if there was ever a time where I just wish somebody would have pulled the trigger, it was then.
Apparently, a guy called Heinz Guderian claimed to have the answer. Storm in like a boss with fast-moving tanks, screaming Stuka dive bombers and artillery while everybody chats over the radio.
Okay.
And just like that, Blitzkrieg was born. Combining speed, firepower, and the audacity of a drunken dare, or a meth head. But we will
The German army was full of both of those.
Come to that later. Let's set the scene. It's 1939, and one of the countries in Europe that was just minding its own business was Poland. A place that had mostly psycho-wacko dictators as neighbors.
True. Oh yeah, there's the other mustache man.
Speaking of red flags, I'm sure the swastika and Soviet banner were among them. Suddenly, Poland found itself hosting a Blitzkrieg beta test, and right from the start, things turned into chaos for the Polish army. The Luftwaffe was bombing cities and railways, cutting off Polish frontline forces, and generally making things very uncomfortable for everyone below.
Well, at a post office, if you've ever paid attention to the Fat Electrician, the Poles made sure to let them know how they felt about it too. Ow.
Meanwhile, panzer divisions rolled through the countryside, bypassing strongholds with high speed like it was all a scene from The Fast and the Furious.
That one hurt my heart. That one actually hurt my feelings.
Get it? Okay. Then on September the 17th, the Soviet Union crashed the party from the east. Because why let Hitler have all the fun? After the swift conquest of Poland, the war shifted gears into what's known as the Sitzkrieg, or as it's cheekily translated, the sitting on your butt war.
Yeah, the Phony War.
While the French fortified their borders and waited for something to happen, the Germans were anything but idle. They used this lull to finalize invasion plans for Denmark and Norway.
Yep.
The butt-sitting phase officially ended when Germany steamrolled Denmark in just a few hours. Clearly, those Panzer boys were on a tight schedule.
Yeah, a little bit.
Norway, however, proved to be a trickier nut to crack, thanks to a pesky little thing called the Royal Navy, and the fact that Norway is, well, kind of massive and covered in snow. Perhaps about...
Yeah, the Soviets know all about things covered in snow, particularly the White Death.
Omen for what lay ahead. By now, the German armoured convoy had reached its next destination, France and the Low Countries. The French, feeling pretty confident, had constructed a supposedly impenetrable defensive marvel known as the Maginot Line. It was like building a massive wall to keep out burglars, but forgetting to lock the back door. Predictably, the Germans didn't bother with the front. Instead, they strolled right through the Ardennes forest, a region the French assumed was too dense for tanks. Turns out the Germans were basically saying, "Hold my schnitzel." In addition to schnitzels, German soldiers were also supplied with Pervitin. As it turns out,
Pervitin. For when you want to be Walter White without all the mix-up.
Blitzkrieg wasn't just about tanks and tactics. It was about troops blitzed out of their minds on methamphetamine.
Yep.
Now, if you're struggling to imagine what an invasion led by a meth-fueled Nazi horde in armored vehicles looks like, well, let me paint that picture for you.
Auf der Heide.
Auf der Heide blüht ein kleines Blümelein und das heißt Erika.
I am so not ready. I was not ready for this.
Heiß von 100.000 kleinen Bienelein wird umschwärmt Erika, denn ihr Herz ist voller Süßigkeit. Zarter Duft entströmt im Blütenkleid.
I was not ready for this.
Auf der Heide blüht ein kleines Blümelein und das heißt Erika.
I was not ready for this. Oh my god. Why though?
So yeah, that happened. This was apparently the German interpretation of a Tour de France, with the Panzer divisions reaching the outskirts of Dunkirk in just 2 weeks.
I wasn't ready for this. I was not ready for this.
For reasons still debated, Hitler then decided to call a halt to his tanks and let the Luftwaffe finish the job.
Which made no sense. He had the entire British standing army surrounded at Dunkirk, and that made legitimately no sense for him to halt his army whatsoever. But it was one of several things that he did that was just dumb.
Of the delay was likely because Hermann Goering, eager to prove his worth, wanted to claim some glory. Sadly, he proved to be far better at clearing out buffets than winning battles.
Yeah, badass.
Anyway, the Luftwaffe failed to wipe out around 400,000 British and French troops on the beaches, and most of them managed to hop on boats and float off to England.
It's actually kind of a thing. The whole Dunkirk rescue was civilian craft, pretty much anything that could hold anyone, sailing across the English Channel to Dunkirk to pick people up. It's one of the most amazing moments in wartime history, and the evacuation went as well as it possibly could have. To be honest with you, it went as well as it possibly could have, and it's one of the most amazing things that you'll ever hear about. That is one of one of the more amazing true stories that you're going to hear about, like anything that happened in World War II that actually, you know, gives you some optimism, because just about everything else sucks.
Despite the Luftwaffe's fuck-up at Dunkirk, the Germans still demonstrated the overwhelming power of their Blitzkrieg doctrine. In less than a week, they had occupied the Netherlands, bombed the Dutch city of Rotterdam to rubble, and forced Luxembourg to surrender in just 12 hours. Ouch.
That's not really surprising, though. Luxembourg is tiny.
What followed was the Battle of Britain, where Goering yet again showed the world he was more obese than capable. His Stuka dive bombers performed great during the invasion of France, but high in the skies above Britain, surrounded by Spitfires and Hurricanes, yeah, not so much.
And this was another one of Hitler's more stupid things that he did, because originally the Luftwaffe was doing remarkably well in the Battle of Britain, and was taking out, you know, airports and things of that nature, which, you know, airfields that the British needed to actually launch their defense fighters. He was doing that relatively well, and then a city got bombed, and it hurt his pride. So therefore, he was like, "Okay, I'm bombing civilian targets from now on." My head trauma knows no bounds at how like, we've been watching BattleTech for a bit now, guys, and every so often I think, why are these people so incompetent? And then I realize we have incompetent assholes too.
At this point, Hitler focused his attention on the East. In June 1941, Germany decided to take its lightning war to a whole new level with Operation Barbarossa, the biggest road trip in history. This was a Blitzkrieg campaign on steroids, or methamphetamine, you pick. Tanks were rolling through the Soviet defenses and planes were bombing Soviet positions into oblivion. By the end of summer 1941, the Germans were moving fast and the Red Army was scrambling to keep up. But then the Germans got introduced to Rasputitsa, aka the mud season.
Welcome to Ukraine.
This quagmire was a far cry from rally racing through the green fields of northern France. By November, the Russian winter set in and pretty much screwed up the entire plan of the Wehrmacht to capture Moscow. When spring arrived and most German soldiers finished defrosting their testicles, the army once again blitzed their way through Soviet defense lines toward the Caucasus and the city of Stalingrad. After months of maintaining the initiative, Hitler thought it would be cool to capture the city of Stalingrad because it bore Stalin's name. Well, certainly
there was a couple of more things that went into play for that, but it was unrelentingly stupid still. Stalingrad was one of the main crossings of the Volga River, but by the time they were done with Stalingrad, there was so little of Stalingrad left intact, it was not even funny.
It would end up being a lot cooler than anticipated. The Battle of Stalingrad quickly stripped the Germans of every tactical advantage they had. No more fast tank maneuvers and no more close air support.
Right.
Just an endless maze of destroyed buildings packed with Russian snipers. Luckily for the Germans, there was no Russian winter to... sorry about that.
Yeah.
Another Russian winter set in and turned many Nazi soldiers into ice sculptures.
There we go.
Setback. To make matters worse, the Soviet army was about to show the world they would be the ultimate Blitzkrieg bastards. Two giant armies pierced through the German flanks and encircled Germany's 6th Army, still holding out in the city.
And this was yet another one of the Mustache Man's really ridiculous, because he made so many of them. He refused to allow the army to retreat when they were saying they were going to be encircled. Refused. What? Why?
With no fuel for their tanks, no food for their soldiers, and zero protection against the cold, the 6th Army was doomed and ultimately surrendered to the Russians.
After the Russians were done with him, the arm falling off thing is actually favorable.
Despite all that, the days of Blitzkrieg were not over for the Germans. They would still carry out fast-moving tank maneuvers, just more in the direction of Berlin.
Yeah. The absolute stupidity and incompetence on display was mind-numbing. And the fact that they managed to make such amazing gains early on is proof that even a broken clock is right twice a day. Against Poland, I mean, what was Poland going to do? What was Poland really going to do against the absolute industrial juggernaut that Germany had become relatively overnight, you know, when you look at it? In terms of military power and industrial power, Germany had just woken up overnight, it seemed, to pretty much everyone, and had rearmed and rebuilt itself very, very fast, coming from the Great Depression and the Treaty of Versailles, which was essentially crippling it. And then all of a sudden, they turn around and just, you know, invade Poland, of course. They go straight through. They go straight through the Netherlands. They go straight through Belgium. They force Luxembourg to capitulate, which really wasn't surprising considering the almost disgusting disparity. And then invaded France through the only place that wasn't protected by the Maginot Line, which, once again, my brain hurts. They did not eliminate the British. History would have played out far different if not for two stupid decisions. The first would be to stop the German army from assaulting the British on the shores of Dunkirk, and the second would be easily, and I mean easily, the way the Battle of Britain went from attacking military targets and basically keeping the British Air Force pinned down and keeping it from fully defending itself to bombing civilian targets, because that really doomed them at the end of the day. Because once Britain was able to just produce and handle themselves in a much better way than the Luftwaffe was, and by the time it was all said and done, the Luftwaffe had lost so many skilled pilots to the British it wasn't even funny. They lost the air war flat out, and they beat themselves bloody against the British when they could have won, but they were just being stupid about it, and that blows my mind. But at the same time, I'm glad they were incompetent. I'm glad they were incompetent, because my God, no thank you. Guys, summed up, those are pretty good. I liked it a lot. It was a good bit different than I thought it was going to be. Nice historical lesson. Emphasis on the use of drugs. Yeah. I can 100% say for sure that happened. The Finns probably showed them the way on that one against the Soviets, because, wow. That was a thing. Guys, I'm going to head out from here. Check all the links in the description down below. This was actually pretty fun. I like this. Mitsi's links are going to be in the description down below, right next to my own. Check the shop, get yourself a shirt. Join as a member of Patreon for early access. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. I'll catch you guys next time.